So what's good with y'all, man? We back with another one, man. Hey, I know this video a little bit different just from what y'all can see so far. But we got another reaction, but this reaction is a little bit off the wall, I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I don't know what to expect from this reaction. This video is called I Baptized My Son in a Satanic Temple, but then this happened. First of all, whoever this lady is, I do not feel sorry. Listen, not to sound, I don't know what she about to say happened, but listen. Y'all know what I'm about to say. Who in a right mind, right, would think, oh, I'm gonna let my son get baptized in a satanic temple and everything should be okay? Who thinks like that? Why do I feel bad for you in any type of way, shape, or form? That's all I'm trying to figure out. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, I'm gonna just stop talking. We're gonna just get into this shit. I ain't got too much to say, man. Let's go.
I met the father of my children in a trip I took to...
But hold on real quick. I need some chapstick. My lips dry as fuck. I done ran all the way up there, couldn't even find my fucking chapstick. You know how tragic that is? I don't think y'all understand how tragic that really is. Like, a nigga without chapstick is like donuts without glaze or something. This shit just don't make sense. But let's get back to it.
Puerto Rico. We started dating. A couple months later, I got pregnant, so I went to live with him. Their beliefs are more in the Satanism, so witches and warlocks. So when my son is born, because of their beliefs, they asked me to baptize him in a satanic temple, which I know now is a satanic temple, but I didn't know back then. And I see coming into my room.
The fuck do you mean you didn't know back then? You didn't know what a satanic temple was? As a grown-ass woman?
Which I know now is a satanic temple, but I didn't know back then. And I see coming into my room this big, dark shadow. But at the other corner of my room, there was this light. And when I was laying down, I was like, I'm supposed to pray. Let me just call on Jesus. I was gonna put my hands together. My hands froze. When I was gonna say something, I just felt like someone muffled me and my whole body just froze, what we call sleep paralysis. I sat in my bedroom at night.
First of all, if anybody ever went through sleep paralysis, that's some scary shit. To this day, I still go through sleep paralysis. But listen. First of all, how don't you, like, I'm just trying to figure out how you ended up in this position. Like, anybody mention a satanic temple to me, I'm going to question what it is in the first place. And then you can't even close your hands to pray. You can't talk. It's just a lot of things wrong with this picture. You feel what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, it's to a point where it's like, how didn't you understand? Like, you know what I'm saying? How did you even end up in this situation? Like, the title alone will make you click, because it's like, how the fuck did you even do this type of shit?
I open up the Bible and I start praying and I said, Lord, if you have a purpose for me, if you created me, if I'm here for a reason, I need to know because I'm lost. I was rejected at conception. My mother was in her early 20s and she had 3 children. They were all small, under the age of 5. And when she found out that she was expecting another children, she tried home remedies to have an abortion. Obviously, it didn't work. I grew up in a very abusive household. My dad was very abusive, mentally, emotionally, mostly physically with my mom, and at times with us as well. We weren't Christians. We weren't religion. Religion was not a topic at our home. We were only Catholics by like tradition, but not because we attended the church or there was any religious practice at our home.
Now, let me say something about that, what she just said. And this might be a little controversial, but I don't believe in people saying that they a certain religion if they don't practice it. Like, you'll never catch me saying I'm Christian, like, ever, because I don't go to church. I don't read the Bible, like, you feel me? And I just say I'm against all of that. I'm not against anybody's belief system. But, like, people be saying, oh, I'm this religion, I'm that religion, and you don't practice nothing they do. Like, how you this if you don't walk or talk or act or live like this? You know what I'm saying? Type shit.
Since I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, you know, it was 4 of us, plus my mom and dad. You know, we had a really hard time financially. So by the time that I was 6, my parents started traveling back and forth to the United States in seek of a better life. By the time we were 10, they decided to finally stay in the United States. So we used to live in New Jersey. In this season of our lives, I'm in early teenage. There's still a lot of abuse going on in the household. But, you know, when you're in your teens, you're more aware of what's really going on. My mom never sought help. She never asked for help. Nobody really knew, like, what was going on inside of our home. Just us four, and then my mom and dad.
Any woman out there going through abuse or any type of situation like that, you gotta call out for help. You gotta tell somebody. Or you gotta figure something out, because people are out there willing to help you, willing to help people in your situation. But you being scared to talk, and you already getting put your hands. You already having people put their hands on you. So at this point, you know, like, it's like you could still lose your life, but other than that, what do you really have to lose? Like, go out there, tell the right people, and seek help. You know what I mean? People are out there for you, literally for your situation. So don't be scared to go out there and look for help.
You know, my dad used to just get drunk, and then my mom used to just get beat, basically. And we would always try to, like, get in the way of, like, helping my mom, and, like, my dad stay away from my mom. In this season, my older sister, you know, was the first one. She got a boyfriend. She got married and left the house. And then my brother, which is the second, he was old enough, but he got away with a lot of things because he was a boy. My sister, she also, you know, left with her boyfriend and left the house. So I'm basically, like, the only one in this season where I'm, like, home. And I became rebellious because I felt abandoned, you know. I was the only one left at home. Very rebellious to the point where I'm like talking back. And, you know, all the abuse that I saw was affecting me to a point where now I'm being verbally, like, abusive, if I can say, you know. Eventually, I met the father of my children in a trip I took to Puerto Rico. We started dating. Long behold, a couple months later, I got pregnant. So I went to live with him.
Yami, how old were you during this time?
By this time, I'm already 17 years old, because I got pregnant around 17. So I'm 17 years old. So I finished high school, I graduated high school, and then I'm still pregnant. So I moved to Puerto Rico with the father of my children. They have other beliefs. Their beliefs are more in the Satanism, so witches and warlocks.
So this is the part that get me, right? Hold on. I'm gonna give her a chance, because maybe she may say they kept this from her or something like that. But I remember in the beginning where they showed the preview, she said something about her not knowing something. But, like, if it was brought up to you that they believe in Satanism, and witch, you know what a witch is for sure. You definitely know what a witch is. Like, if somebody, even if I didn't know what Satanism was, technically, if somebody said, yeah, it involves witches and warlocks, that don't even sound right. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if y'all big on energy and stuff like that, but words hold energy. Certain words you hear, it'll just, you know what I mean? It'll just make you look a certain way. Like, even if you don't know what it means, you can still feel the energy of the word like that. Like, what's that? Like, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna give her a chance. I'm gonna listen to what she say.
Are more in the Satanism, so witches and warlocks. I grew up around that, but I didn't. It was normal. So, like, same thing as Catholic by tradition. It was like witchcraft and all of that was normal in our surroundings. Like, it wasn't something that you would identify as, oh, that's bad, or oh, that's good. You know, it was just, it's like another religion, basically. It was never something that was deemed as something bad. So, you know.
So basically what she's saying is it was just normalized in her environment to the point where she ain't even realize there was something wrong with it. Like, she didn't even understand it was dark. She just felt like it was normal. It's interesting, to say the least.
When I got with him, it was, I know now that it's conviction from the Holy Spirit. I always try to stay away from whatever they practice. But, of course, with him, so I'm kind of in a way or another involved in all of this. So when my son is born, by tradition, we baptize him in a Catholic church. And because of their beliefs, they asked me to baptize him in a Satanic temple, which I know now is a Satanic temple, but I didn't know back then. Yes, I was 17, I was naive, I was young.
I'm gonna leave it alone. How didn't you know it was something? How didn't you know? Satanic temple. Imagine. I get it. She's 17. She says she didn't know. Whatever. Whatever. Cool. Imagine you're 17. Put yourself in her shoes. You're 17 in high school, right? You get pregnant. I'm speaking to all the ladies out here. Fuck it. Everybody watching. If you a man that got a woman pregnant, somebody come to you when you 17 years old and be like, I wanna baptize your kid in a satanic temple. You're 17 years old. Put yourself back in your shoes at 17. Would you have done that shit even at 17? Cause I definitely wouldn't have. You feel me? In no way, shape, or form would I be like, oh hell yeah, like, no. The fuck? But I'm not here to judge her. I'm just saying, like, her saying this is a shock to me because I couldn't imagine making that mistake myself. I just want to know if y'all feel where she coming from. Like, do y'all understand? Can y'all, like, see it? I'm having a hard time seeing, like, you feel me? I just want to know what y'all think about the shit.
Went to this place and we baptized him. 6 months later, you know, we had a lot of issues with his family, so we decided to come back to the United States. When I come back to the United States, I start working at a Colombian bakery. And so happened that the owner of the Colombian bakery, he was a Christian. He was a Christian leader. And this is the first time that I ever heard about Jesus. I've never heard about Jesus before. And I remember every time he used to talk about Jesus, I used to be in awe. And I will make sure that I get the bakery clean and everything is done before, you know, my time is up so I can sit down and we can have coffee and talk about Jesus. I remember vividly, there was this one time where he told me about the resurrection of Jesus. And when he told me about the resurrection of Jesus, I was in awe and I said, Jesus came back to life on the third day? And this man started crying and weeping. And I thought I did something wrong. And I said, oh my God, what did I do wrong? And he said, give me a second. He left. And when he came back, he said, I'm so sorry. It's just, I didn't know that there's still people out there who don't know Jesus. I'm too new to this, so I didn't quite.
You see what I'm saying, though? How he would cry and, like, you see how he cried just off the fact that he couldn't believe that somebody didn't know who Jesus was? That's how I feel about her not knowing what satanic mean. I wouldn't cry, but it's the same type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like how don't you know these things? You feel me? Like, that's how I feel about the shit.
I don't understand what he meant by that, you know? So I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm sorry. Like, you know, again, religion, nothing. No Jesus, no nothing. We only knew there was God that was good. That's it. But there was never, like, any religious upbringing in our lives. So I remember one time my son came to the bakery. The father of my children, he came with my son to the bakery. He had what we call manita de sabache. He had it in his neck. And I remember him going up to me and saying, hey, why do you have that on him? And I said, oh, it's for protection. And he looked at me and said, don't you think Jesus can protect him? I'm still new to the faith, so I didn't quite understand. But I kind of felt like he was such a leader in whatever he talked. So whatever he said to me, I took it. So I quickly went and I took it out and I threw it away. And then there was another time, my son is 1 at this time. He's 1 year old. My son is not talking. He's not really crawling. He's not walking. I would say he was like very, very slow in everything he was doing. So the second time that he went to the bakery, my boss, he came up to me and said, hey, I want to ask you a question. And I said, yes. And he said, I see in the spirit your son in a cage. And then he asked me, is there any type of prayer upon him? Because I keep seeing him in this cage in the spirit. And I was like, well, I mean, I baptized him in a satanic temple. And
when she said that, for this man to cry at the fact you didn't know who Jesus was, for you to tell him that, I know he had to lose all marbles after that. He had to lose all type of, like, I know you drove him crazy when you said that. I'm curious to see what she about to say his reaction was. Because even telling somebody like me, I ain't even a Christian person. Like, I don't even go to church and stuff like that. But if you was to tell me that you raised your kid in the Satanic temple and you told me you didn't know what it was, I would be like, I would really feel bad for you. So I can only imagine what his reaction about to be.
When I told this man this, he was like, oh my God, we have to pray for him. And I said, what's going on? He was like, he gave me a little prayer. He wrote it down and he said, plead the blood of Jesus over your son and pray for him every night. Every night, pray for him. And I did this consistently for about a week. My son started walking. It was like he came back to life. And to me, it was like, wow, like it was the first time that I ever saw firsthand, like, wow, the power of Jesus. But since I was so new in the faith, I didn't kind of comprehend that, I eventually stopped working at the bakery and I wasn't going to church. I was only taking what he was telling me. I would go to church very rare when I felt down and I felt like, oh my God, you know how when you go to church on Sundays and it feels good, the word feels good. I hated the worship part. I would always go 30 minutes late because I knew the worship was 30 minutes and I just wanted to go hear the word, cry, and then go back home to the same misery I was living, right? So in this season where I no longer had, active conversations with him, it was like one of the hardest seasons of my life and one of the darkest. Again, I was very abusive with my words. I was very rebellious and I brought into the relationship. The father of my children was also very abusive. At times, my life was at risk, but I didn't know how to speak up because growing up, I saw my mom going through it and she never spoke up. So I didn't know what speaking up meant. So I never spoke up about what I was going through. So not even my family knew what I was going through. I remember vividly this one time, I just felt like I couldn't take it anymore. I got on my knees. It was a Sunday. And I got on my knees and I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, please take me out of here.
If you're texting a girl you really like, but she's leaving you on red, waiting hours to reply, or ghosting,
I don't want to be here. My life was in danger. I wanted to get out, but I was being threatened. So I started contemplating suicidal because I felt like the only...
Man, that be the crazy part, man. People don't be realizing, like, it's people who really in dark places in their life. You don't know what somebody going through. You don't know how somebody feeling. Like, this world we living in now, it's so many different ways you can get caught up in the wrong thing, and you never know what somebody going through, man. So, I just always say, shit, whenever you see somebody, treat people good. Treat people as best as you can, because you might be the deciding factor on if they're here tomorrow or not type shit. Like, you might be the reason they decided not to take their own life. You got to realize, like, you don't know what people going through, like I said. But I'm happy she doing better. She found the strength to even sit on camera and talk about this situation because it seemed traumatic, but...
only way out of what I was going through was killing myself because I don't know how to ask for help. I don't know what that is. I don't know who can help me, This is also something I saw around. So I didn't have like role models that I can look up to and say, hey, everything's going to be all right. Everyone around me had basically the same lifestyle and they were living in it and they were not seeking the help. So I didn't know what seeking help meant. And I remember I got on my knees and I said, Lord, please help me. Take me out of this relationship. And it was nothing but the grace of God that I know now. I had a conversation with the father of my children and I said, I need to leave this relationship. And for the first time, he understood. We separated. And in this season, from the age of 18 to the age of 24, I was always in this relationship. I didn't really experience like worldly freedom, if you can say. So by the time we broke up, when I had my own place, I went wild. I started smoking marijuana. I started drinking. I started partying.
First of all, ain't nothing wrong with smoking a little Mary Jane and drinking a little juice. You feel what I'm saying? There ain't nothing wrong with that.
I started smoking marijuana. I started drinking. I started partying. I started doing things.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little partying either. You feel me? Long as you know how to do it in moderation. You feel what I'm saying?
That I've never did before. And I realized that I felt so empty. And I thought leaving this relationship would make me feel better, but it didn't. It didn't at all. I felt more empty. I felt more lost. I felt more depressed. I couldn't sleep at night. I was to a point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna start going back to church. I start going back to church every Sunday. And again, skipping the worship because I still didn't like it. And there was this one Sunday I skipped church and I went to a lake with some family members. And this lake, I sat down. When I sat down, I kept looking at everyone around me. And I just felt like this emptiness. And I felt what I know now is the Holy Spirit telling me, you don't belong here. I kept looking at everyone and I was like, what am I doing here? Like, I felt like lost, like I'm like odd, like I didn't belong where I was at in that moment. Like I shouldn't have been there. I never known the Bible. So that night I said, Lord, I honestly don't know you. I have no idea who you are. I opened up Amazon. I ordered a Bible for the first time. That was a Sunday. When it arrived on Tuesday, I remember I sat in my bedroom at night and I opened the Bible and I said, God, I have no idea what it says in this Bible. People say that when you read this, they go crazy. So we kind of like, I was kind of afraid of reading it because that's, you grow up, you know, hearing that, oh, when you read the Bible, you go crazy. I opened up the Bible and I start.
I never heard when you read the Bible, you go crazy, but like, I never really read the Bible myself. I've had moments in time when I was younger where I would be forced to go to church by my mother. Like we would have moments in time where we might go to church like 3 weeks straight. Then we fall off. We might go back for another couple weeks. You know how it is. Like every once in a while, your mother might make you go to church. You feel me? That's how it was for me. Like I wasn't just a everyday or every week churchgoer, but it would be certain times where we would go type shit, if that makes sense. But that's the most I ever remember reading from the Bible is going to church, where they would make us open it up to a certain page. We read the word, whatever. As a child, as a kid, I mean, I didn't really know exactly what they were saying, I don't think, because I was so young. And most of the time when I was going to church, my mother was making me go, so I didn't really, you know what I mean? I was just kind of there. But as I got older, I kind of skimmed through the Bible a little bit, but I never really sat and read the Bible, you know what I'm saying? But I never heard nobody say make you go crazy. I've never felt any type of craziness from the Bible, but I do plan on actually reading it soon. I want to get it. I want to like learn about all the religions. I want to learn about this religion, that religion, that religion, that religion will make this one different from that one. I know that all their purposes all kind of serve the same type of thing, but I want to see like what make each religion different. I'm about to definitely start doing my research for sure.
Praying, and I said, Lord, if you have a purpose for me, if you created me, if I'm here for a reason, I need to know because I'm lost. I'm depressed. I can't sleep. So from the time that I was living alone to the time I found Jesus was only about like a month and a half. So all of this happened within like a month and a half. Me drinking, smoking, going out. I needed substance to go to sleep because I couldn't sleep. I would be so depressed at night. I needed something to go to sleep. So this night I opened the Bible when it arrived and I said, Jesus, I need to know why you created me. If I have a purpose, I need to know. And my life never was the same after that night. I remember that night I slept. The next day I got in my word again and I felt like everything I read in the Bible, I would get up and go out and I would like see it everywhere. And I'm like, that's weird. Like, I just read that, you know? And I just felt like, I'm like, Lord, are you talking? Like, is this how you talk? I don't know you. So I was trying to figure out who's Jesus, who's God, what is he trying to tell me? What is he trying to do in my life? And I remember I started giving people words of wisdom and words of knowledge that it was like something beyond me. Cause I'm like, this is not, I would talk to people and tell them things that I didn't know about them. But I was so desperate to know Jesus that he started using me without me even knowing. I remember this one night, and it was this first time I was in my bedroom at night, and I've never seen black shadows or none of that. And I was laying down, and I have a nightlight on for my kids, and I see coming into my room this big, dark shadow. But at the other corner of my room, there was this light. And when I was laying down, I was like, okay, I'm supposed to pray. I said, I'm supposed to pray. Let me just call on Jesus. When I was going to get out of the bed to start praying, my legs froze. So I was going to put my hands together. My hands froze. When I was going to say something, I just felt like someone muffled me and I couldn't speak. And my whole body just froze, what we call sleep paralysis. And I remember that night, all I can think about is the light, a shadow, and I kept saying in my head, I said, Jesus, Jesus. I pled the blood of Jesus, and I just kept calling on the name of Jesus because I really didn't know, and I didn't have a church, so I didn't have anyone guiding me.
So she just mentioned sleep paralysis. Now, I'm happy and grateful that I never had sleep paralysis to where I was seeing things. Like, people have horror stories about sleep paralysis where they would see spirits and, like she said, shadows and all this other stuff that'd be scary. I never had an experience like that. Whenever I go through sleep paralysis, I wake up and I can't move for like probably like 5 to 10 seconds. It's scary though. I ain't gonna lie. Like, especially if you ain't ever been through it before, to wake up and you can't move, it don't feel right. You know what I mean? Like, if you've been through it, you know what I'm saying. But I never been through extended sleep paralysis where I'm seeing stuff, and I never been through that. So
at that very moment, while I'm experiencing this, I start like vomiting, and then I pass out. So when I wake up and I look at my sheets, there is no vomit. And I was like, I vomited. Like, this happened to me, but there wasn't anything on me physically. So I knew it was spiritual. And to me, it was like mind blowing because I'm just learning Jesus and finding out as well that, oh, this is so.
the crazy part about that is people go to different dimensions all the time and don't even know it. When you go to sleep and you in a dream world, that's real, bro. I don't care what people try to make you seem or say, like, dreams are real. You in a whole nother place. You get what I'm saying? You can't. That's why you can't tell a dream from when you wake up until you wake up, because dreams are real. You feel what I'm saying? The same way she said she vomited. Like, for example, you ever had one of them dreams where it felt so real, you woke up, you ain't even know if it was real or not, you had to check, like, damn, like, let's say, like, you had a dream that somebody brought you $100, but you was downstairs in the basement when they gave it to you. But the dream felt so real, you really went in the basement to see if it was there. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, that should be real, bro. It just don't be in this reality type shit. You get what I'm saying? But it be real.
A whole new world. Like, what is going on? And I remember in this season, my sister was in Puerto Rico and she was attending to this church. And I kept writing to her and I said, hey, like, I'm going through all of this. I don't know. I keep having all these visions, all these dreams. I see demons drowning. I see people running after me. I keep experiencing sleep paralysis. I'm like, there's so much happening. I keep giving people words of wisdom. I was like, I think I'm driving crazy. Like, I don't know, what is this? And then she was like, well, let me ask my pastor if you can talk to her so you can see what's going on. Because I've never experienced that, so I don't know what's going on with you. She gave me her number and we exchanged words, and I told her everything I was experiencing. And I remember her just smiling at me and she said, welcome to the kingdom. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand, you know? I kept experiencing all of this, and then I found a church. I started congregating in this church in Philly. I was just on fire for the Lord. I kept going on like my social media platforms and sharing every day like what the Lord was doing, which to me was crazy too, because I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking. I remember in this church, I started experiencing was physical deliverance, you know, or manifestations of my own body. But I didn't have like a close connection to the pastors. It was more of like I was congregating. They did a women's retreat, and in this women's retreat, you know, I went, we spent the whole day, and I felt like more freedom. And after I got baptized. So after I got baptized, you know, you would have think the things would have got like better, but I felt like it just got more intense to me. I'm like, Lord, I love it. I'm being blessed. I'm happy. I have joy. I sleep. But I don't understand this. I don't understand this spiritual stuff still. And I felt like I needed leadership. But the church I was going, it was hard to like get in contact with the actual pastors. I stopped going to the church and I just started seeking the Lord on my own. I started fasting. I started my fasting life. I started praying. I started waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning just to meet the Lord. Then the Lord started speaking to me more vividly and more clear. In this season, he told me that I needed to have an Abrahamic moment where he no longer wanted me. He wanted to take me out of New Jersey. He blessed me with a brand new home here in Florida. And the way everything went was like effortlessly. And the Lord was glorifying himself in every single step of the way of me purchasing this house. Before I moved down here, I remember I went to a Christian concert. And when I was in this concert, I remember that I was just so in love with Jesus. You know, like I'm in a season where Jesus is doing so much in my life. I have joy. I'm just so in tune with the Spirit of God. I can hear him so clear, you know, and I'm just walking this walk. I'm learning more and I'm in awe with Jesus. And in this Christian concert, I remember when me and my best friend got there, we had bought VIP, but we were a little late because we were helping someone outside. His car had got stuck, so we were helping him. So when we get inside, there was literally 2 seats in the front row. And we were like, okay, then that's for us. Let's go. In this Christian concert, when the worship starts, you know, we start worshiping. I just feel the Spirit of the Lord just come upon me. I start praying for people, and people are falling. I just started going to people's ears and telling them words that the Lord was giving to me. But again, like, to me, like, I've experienced deliverance, but like me actually putting hands on people, that was like something different to me, because I'm like, oh my God, like, me too, like I can do this too, you know. I'm still learning.
I ain't gonna lie, when it comes to spiritual journeys, and even if you want to relate it to religion, like whenever you seeking God in any type of way, shape, or form, when you going through a spiritual journey or a spiritual experience in life, you start doing stuff that you never thought you would be doing. Like, you look at people a certain way when you see them doing it, and you would never think you would be that person. But if you ever really walk that type of, you know what I mean, walk that type of path, you will definitely start doing things and talking to people in ways you never would have expected yourself to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely believe her when it comes to all of this, because I've been on spiritual journeys. I know how it go. Like, you definitely be in a whole nother headspace. Like, it be having you thinking a whole different way than you could have even thought you would. It's like,
so growing. And I remember sitting there and I literally sat down and I said, wow, Jesus, like, wow, Jesus, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because
Mountain is transforming TV advertising by focusing on performance, and we've got an amazing team of people to do it.
to me, it was like out of my imagination. Like, I couldn't believe that the Lord was just moving so powerfully. It was like mind blowing.
Wow, that's incredible. Like, just hearing you talk about that, I'm like, man, like, Jesus. So, like, just to kind of bring it back to something, like, so throughout all of this, you're experiencing all of this supernatural stuff. What about your family? How did they react? Like, were they seeing, like, change in you at all, like your parents and stuff like that?
Yes. So with my family, it was the most, like, happiest and also saddest moment, because they saw that I was changing, but they didn't understand. While I'm experiencing all of this and I'm saying all of this, they're seeing the change in me, because I'm no longer aggressive with you know, my words, you know. I'm just following Jesus, you know, and love crazy about Jesus. And they didn't really understand what was going on. So I had a season of separation with my family where I know you don't understand, but I can't stop, you know. So I went a season of, like,
I want to speak on that too. Whenever you doing better and you elevating as a person, it's not even about like life or achievements. Just you, like, as far as your energy goes, just you as a person, you as an individual. When you changing for the better and you starting to feel good and stuff, sometimes your family won't understand that, because they know you from a place of toxicity. They know you from a place of trauma. They know you from a place of pain. They see you as that. And one thing about your family, they feel like the way you grew up is the way you're gonna be forever. They can't see past a lot of ways you have, because in most people's cases, they don't grow too often. You know what I'm saying? And that's unfortunate to say. But sometimes you do have to separate yourself from the people you love the most in order to continue growing, because they will definitely hold you back. Your environment plays a very important role in the way that you grow in life.
Separation where I still had contact with them, but I was no longer in, like, the family parties. I was no longer spending as much time with them as I should. And every time I did, all I kept talking about was Jesus. And in the season, like, they didn't really understand, so they would just look at me and kind of think I was...
And that be the main part. You can't talk to them like you want to talk to them. You can't talk to them as this new person, because they don't know nothing about that. They only know how to talk to the old version of you. And the only reason why you were the old version of you is because of the family that you grew up in, which means that they're a product of what the old version of you was. They didn't grow with you. You get what I'm saying? They still want to talk to the 15-year-old, 16-year-old you, 18-year-old you. They don't want to talk to the new and improved because they don't understand it. They haven't grown to that point yet. And it's not your job to belittle yourself or to go back down to their level just because they don't understand, just because you're a family. And that be the hard, that's like one of the hardest things about life sometimes, is when you're growing, the people you love the most don't always grow with you.
It's crazy. That's where I was in the season with me and my family. We weren't, I kind of had to like leave them on the side a little bit and just allow them to just watch. That's where I was at.
And so what happened next? Like after this concert and then you're here in Florida, the Lord opened up the doors for you to come here, right?
Yes. I come down here, but when I come down here, I started going through a season of healing that I didn't expect because I'm in a high with Jesus. So when it came to a season of actual physical separation from my family, where now we're not 15 minutes away, we're, an airplane or multiple hours apart, I started going through a season of healing where the Lord started revealing to me things of my childhood that I needed healing from. And it was very hard for me because I didn't have a church and I didn't have family around. I was still seeking the Lord desperately. So I kept going to churches, but I felt like every time I went to a church, the church that I visited personally, like the Spirit of the Lord was just caged up, and I was seeking more freedom. I was seeking healing, Until finally I reached here to KOG. And I remember when I first came here, they received me with open arms and a big smile and big hugs. And I was like, this is it, And I talked to the pastor, and I said, I'm actually here because I want to serve and submit. I need a spiritual mom. I need to grow more in my walk. And I kind of been doing this alone for a very long time, but I need leadership, I need wisdom. And that's when I came to KOG. And she took me through, my healing. We started having like everyday calls, and she took me through my healing and my breakthrough. And I'm here now at KOG with the father of my children. We now hold a cordial relationship. We co-parenting very well. My sisters are now walking their faith, and their husbands also came to Christ.
Wow, praise
still
God.
Praying for the rest of the family, but everyone is coming to the faith. I have multiple friends that have gotten closer to Jesus just because they tell me it's like just the way you love Jesus, like I want that. And they have come to the faith because of seeing me not only sharing my journey but actually living.
I ain't gonna lie. This title was definitely clickbait. She didn't talk about her son past probably the 5-minute mark. I thought she was gonna be talking about her son getting baptized in the Satanic temple. I thought she was about to be saying her son was having problems or something. Or like, and not to say that's what I really wanted to hear, but in a way I kind of wanted to hear something. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened to your son? That's what I wanted to hear about. Did your son end up okay? Like, that's what I was trying to hear. She went into a whole spew about her meeting God and stuff, and hallelujah, all that. I'm happy for you and everything, I promise. But I thought we was here to talk about your son being baptized in the Satanic temple.
My faith. So that's where I'm at today.
Wow, Yami, praise God. That's amazing. Just to kind of touch back a little bit, you mentioned the Lord took you through this season of like healing, right? Could you kind of talk a little bit about like what that process like looked like for you?
Yeah. So when I came to Florida, and again I had a home.
Listen, we about to see if she said anything else about her son, because I'm not about to sit and watch the rest of this.
My parents. So although of healing from and forgiving, the father of my children, one saves the family. So that's what I felt like the Lord was really pushing me. Like
in a similar situation where you weren't aware of what was happening with your boyfriend's family, taking your son to the Satanic church, not knowing what was going to happen or what you were doing, what advice would you give them today?
Bible says People perish for lack of knowledge. Anything that you do, seek and you will find. You will find not only answers, but truth. In that season, maybe I was too naive to seek, but if we will take the time more to actually know what really is, if I would have taken the time to know what really was I doing, not only my children, but involving myself with, I would have known that it wasn't godly, it wasn't good, and it was pure evil. And it didn't matter how people try to, masquerade it as good. At the end of the day, evil is evil, So I would say seek, make sure that you're seeking not only God first, but also learning what is that you're doing, like before you go and say yes to all this, especially now new age and witchcraft and involving yourself in things that you really don't know and you're doing it for, let's say, healing, seek what it really is, But above all else, the answer is Jesus. So seek Jesus, and not only will he give you truth, but he will give you a way and life.
Yami, do you have any last words for the people watching your testimony right now?
I would say that it doesn't matter where you at. It doesn't matter what background you come from, what you've been through, how hard it's been, how dark it's been, who has been against you. Even if that is your family, there's a way, there's a life, and it's found in Jesus, and there's healing, and there's redemption. It's beautiful on this other side.
Yami, could you please pray for those who are watching your testimony right now?
Listen, I'm happy for her. I'm happy she found Jesus. I'm happy she found a better way for her. So happy she feels better, looks better, is in a better head space. I'm happy for her, everything, But this was definitely clickbait. I mean, she did say that, but they knew what they were doing with this title, you feel me? But I'm gonna just leave it at that, man. I'm gone.